Okay guys, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna show you what a full head of foils looks like. Now, we're gonna be starting in the back, and we're gonna be starting out in your hairline, and we move up the head. The back will always be done first, and then we'll move to the sides when you're doing a full head. Also too, I wanna discuss with you when we're putting in the foils in the hair, when we go to close that foil, you need to make sure that you're not pulling the foil in on the hair to where you have a gap that sits out, because what's gonna happen? You're gonna have this nice, beautiful highlight in the middle, and they're gonna have these two dark spots because you closed the foil in on the hair and you squished it. So we need to be mindful when we're putting that hair in the foil and when we're folding it in that we're not squeezing that hair, leaving those gaps, okay? So we're gonna start at the bottom. And of course, I'm right-handed, so my stuff is gonna always be at my right side. You wanna make sure that your tools are always on your dominant hand side, because you don't wanna be reaching over, because that causes undue stress on your body. We don't wanna do that.
And it takes longer.
Yeah, and it takes longer. So I'm gonna start in my mohawk at the bottom, okay? So I'm gonna take 1/2 inch skips, but I'm gonna do a weave, because we always weave in on the perimeter of the head, right here in the hairline. Always do a weave, never do a slice, okay? So I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna take 1/2 inch, and like Ms. Hernandez said earlier, if you can weave a mannequin, you can weave a human. Okay. I'm gonna come in, and I'm gonna do a nice weave right here, having control of that hair, okay? I'm gonna come in, grab my foil, and I like to have my foils all flat, ready to go. Unless you work in a pop-up box and they pop up right out as you're working. Remember, have your insurance, go close to the scalp. And what's nice about this mannequin head, you can rest your hand right here on that area right there. That way you know you have control. Grab your product, starting a little bit higher so you know, see, and that's what happens.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slide that back in there, get control again, add the product and slide my hand in there, okay? Work that product down, and then I'm gonna come up toward the scalp. Ever so slightly, but not on. Close it again, raise it up, lock that in. Now, I know my hair is here, so that means I'm gonna close my foil over here, and my foil is gonna be closed over here. That way I know I'm not squeezing out anything and my hair's not getting colored in those corners. You don't wanna do that, okay? Still working up the head. Now, I did a weave. I'm gonna do one more weave. So I'm gonna weave, and then I'll move up to a slice. Like Ms. Hernandez said earlier too, it depends on what the client shows you in a color, that's gonna depend on what sections you're gonna take. Anywhere between a 1/8 or a 1/4 or a 1/2. I'm gonna weave one more. See how I'm right near close to the scalp? I'm doing soft weaves. Okay, grab my foil. Provide my insurance in there. Okay. Get that color close. Pull it up ever so slightly. Rest my hand back there. See how I follow when I'm putting the color on? My hand is going with it. Okay, so now we're gonna move to the right side. And we're gonna do the same thing. 1/2 inch skip, and we're gonna do a nice soft weave right here in this hairline, okay? I'm gonna come in, add my foil. Good tension, resting my finger right there. Add the color a little bit closer up. Slide my hand underneath there to have that control, okay? Work up toward the scalp, but not on it. I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna close her up. Okay, pinching those corners. Come in, lift up, lock her in, and then I'm just gonna ever so lightly close it but none in on my hairline right there, okay? So I'm gonna add one more, 1/2 inch, keeping it even all the way around, right there, okay? Just gonna lay this down slightly, then squeeze it. I just laid it down just a bit, okay? And I'm gonna just weave a nice little soft weave in there, okay? Grab my foil, provide my insurance, have control, add my product, not all the way up, but just enough so I can have control, okay? And then I'll move up toward the scalp, not on the scalp. Close her up. Then I'm gonna lift it up and I'm going to lock it in. Seal it right there and seal it right there. See how my hair is in there and not over here, and I didn't squeeze it too hard? That way I don't have product not coming out or hair that's not getting the color that it needs. I'm gonna come back over here to this side, right here. This is in my way. I'm just gonna ever so slightly lift it out of my way, okay? Okay, now, everybody's different. Some people like to work right up the middle. I like to kind of go along as I move up the head. Everybody's different. For me, I like to go back, side to side, moving up the head. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move to this side, move my client just a tiny bit. And I'm gonna come in. I'm just gonna slightly move this out of my way. Still taking 1/2 inch. Okay, so we've reached that part. I've finished all my foils in the back. So now we've gotten to the top to where the crown is. So as we move into the crown, we never slice. Never, never, never slice. You always want to weave in the crown. Also too, you see how broad this has gotten, how large this is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break this up into 2 foils. And I'm going to do a nice soft weave here and a weave here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna come in and just kind of break it up right here in the middle. Still having that 1/2 inch skip, and I'm just gonna do a nice soft weave right here in my crown, okay? Coming in, as you always do, your insurance, up toward the scalp, apply your product, put your hand underneath, keep in control, swirl it up, and then work that product up toward the scalp. Not on the scalp, but toward. We're gonna close her up, flip her up, and we're gonna lock her in, okay? Now I'm gonna come in here, I see my hair here, so I'm gonna fold it in right here, and then fold it in right here. I'm gonna come over here to this side, and I'm gonna do exactly the same. There's little hairs in my way, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna move that out of my way using my metal clip. I have to use like this little section from this side is in my way, so I'm just gonna kind of flip it over here. I'm gonna come in, take my section, and I'm gonna do another soft weave. Okay. Come in, grab my foil, create my insurance, come in, make sure it's in there, apply my product, slide my hand underneath, keep in control, twist her up. Ooh, need to add a little bit more product there. When it does that, you know you don't have enough product. And then I'm gonna work toward the scalp, okay? Close her up, fold her in, lift it up, lock it in. And then I'm just gonna close her up right here. My hair is right here, and then I'm just gonna close her in right here, okay? So now, I'm gonna come up here. See that hair? We're gonna leave that hair there. Now, if we were doing that, we're doing the full head, and we were working up, so this would not be in a foil. This would just be hair. So I'm gonna take my last section, okay? I'm just gonna clean her up a little bit so I have a 1/2 inch. And I'm gonna slide those hairs out of my way. And you still should have that 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna come in and I'm going to take a nice soft weave. Because remember, we wanna weave in the crown, you don't wanna slice in the crown. Okay, the insurance, slide in your foil, lock it in there. Now, if you look over here, see that hair right here? If I was to apply color here right now, this would get missed and she would be kind of spotty. So if you wanted to, I could come in, go back in, take my section, and I can break this up back into 2 foils. It's better to be safe than it is to be sorry and get a bad highlight. We don't want to have a bad highlight, okay? So I'm going to come back in. I've broken up those 2 foils, grab my foil, got my insurance, and I come in. Notice now, that's in. It's not sitting out. So I'm not going to have this really, really dark spot in my highlight because we don't want the dark spot. We want a nice, beautiful highlight. Over. Okay. Lock her in. Hair's right there, so I'm going to fold it right before the hair. Close this one here. And I'm going to move over here. And we're going to do the same thing. Okay. Nice weave, soft weave. Grab your foil. Okay. Create my insurance. Come in. Lay my foil down. Have control. Okay. Put my hand up underneath there. Work my product down. Create my twist. J, however you want to say it. And then work up toward the scalp. Not on the scalp, toward the scalp. Close her up. Flip it. Lock it in. And then seal her just on those outward corners. Okay. Now we have a full head of highlights. From this side. Okay. Back. All the way to the side.